What is transactional leadership and when should it be used? Transactional leadership is a management style linked to behavioral leadership theory. In other words, it focuses on influencing people's actions. This method relies on people's needs and a give and take approach to keep the team on track. In this way, it's closely linked to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The rewards and punishments reflect a trade of basic human needs. The manager barters with the team, dangling the carrot of incentives such as wages or recognition, while holding the stick of contract, discipline, and expulsion to maintain cohesion. Transactional leadership is based upon the assumption that, in simple terms, better pay and conditions are linked to better performance, promotion, and further productivity. This holds true to an extent. The more enlightened factory owners in the Industrial Revolution realized that adequate pay, better working conditions, and rest did improve productivity. By providing the basic needs of shelter, enough money for food, and a secure job meant that factory owners could have happier, more productive workers. But this approach does have its limits. There is generally some benchmarked expectation of performance contracted between a worker and manager. Transactional management uses carrot and stick, reward and punishments to maintain that standard. Performance above this baseline of work can be rewarded, and equally, if productivity dips below the line, then punishments are used to ensure compliance. The transactional approach to management is generally effective at ensuring a reasonable level of productivity. The challenge with this approach comes when you want to inspire people beyond just that minimum standard. So, what are the pros and cons of transactional leadership? On the plus side, transactional leadership is a simple and fair approach and can assure a level of performance. Because it relies on basic human need and behaviours, it is broadly effective in making people work. For the aspiring manager, it's also easy to understand and to implement. But transactional leadership rarely gets the best from anyone. Going back to Maslow's hierarchy, once people have their basic needs covered, such as enough food to eat, basic shelter and security, just increasing a person's potential resources does not necessarily lead to a proportional increase in productivity. Research has shown that monetary incentives do not necessarily improve performance. Also, if penalties are too harsh, workers will be unwilling to take risks. People won't take risks if they are worried about their pay or job security. An environment of fear is also a poor atmosphere for creativity. To allow people to experiment, and therefore to likely fail, there needs to be an environment of psychological safety. Therefore, it is hard to develop a high-performing team with transactional leadership alone. This is why transactional leadership is usually seen as the poor cousin of transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is about inspiring the team with a vision, supporting the growth of individuals, and achieving a higher purpose rather than just getting a job done. So when should managerial leadership be used? There are times when you just need to get a job done. You may not have a big vision, the team that you would choose or the task that you would want, but you have to complete a project or task. At these times, transactional leadership can still be effective. Transactional leadership is suitable for tame problems. These are problems that are well defined and understood. Tame problems may be complicated, but they have tried and tested solutions, even if a degree of creativity is involved. A process can therefore be applied to these types of problems, and this process can be managed towards a solution. This is why transactional leadership is also known as managerial leadership. Basic project, program, and production management falls into this category. A product being pieced together in a factory may be complex in its composition, but all of the construction steps are predefined. Similarly, most buildings, even if they have a novel exterior design, are constructed in tried and tested ways. If there is a known process for dealing with the issue, then the situation can be managed. However, the managerial approach falls short for highly complex or wicked problems, or when creativity is needed. The highest performing teams and the most challenging problems require other leadership approaches. So, transactional leadership is not most people's preferred style of management, but there are times when it is necessary. When things go wrong and relationships break down, it's an approach to fall back on. When this happens and a more managerial approach is required, then it's important to remain firm but fair. Therefore, as a leader, make sure you understand transactional leadership and keep it as a tool in your back pocket. Managerial leadership, with the backup of legal agreements and other levers you'll need if things go wrong, is a contingency plan rather than a preferred method. Always remember, the carrot and stick approach can achieve a certain standard, but is not as powerful as visionary, transformational, or servant leadership can be. People want a higher purpose to work for, not just cash and contracts. If you would like to find out more on this subject or about other leadership models and decision-making tools, then click on the link or head over to the website at www.therightquestions.co. And if you found this helpful, please do like and subscribe.